Kia ora and welcome to the Itinerary. Today we'll be talking about events, a unique sector that crosses over every industry and absolutely goes hand in hand with tourism. Concerts? Well, it's probably more than likely that you'll have to travel to Auckland for those. Big sporting events. Again, travel absolutely plays its part to getting you to that nearest city and centre. And of course, people are also having to travel internationally for events, such as Oktoberfest in Germany. We've got Comic-Con in San Diego and the Olympics, only but to name a few. And today, let's not forget, global conventions and meetings are happening all around the world. And that is exactly what we will be discussing on our panel today. With me, I have the fabulous, the gorgeous Lisa Hopkins, CEO of Conventions and Incentives New Zealand, otherwise known as CINZ. Have I got that right, Lisa?
You have it spot on, Megan.
Kia ora and welcome.
Kia ora.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
More importantly, thank you for joining me in person. It's been a while, so great to have you here.
Well, it's all about face-to-face interaction, so that's why we're here.
Oh, fantastic. Now, Lisa, tell our viewers, can you explain to our viewers exactly what it is that CINZ does?
Absolutely. So we're the industry body for the sector. So our job is to help support and promote our members. That ranges right across the board from large airlines through to large convention centres, hotels, all the way through to audio-visual providers, entertainment companies, transportation, you name it. All through there. Tourism sector as well.
The works.
The works.
And so tell me what it is, and for our viewers who wouldn't know what a business event is, can you explain to me the wording, the understanding for those of us that don't?
So a business event is typically for 10 or more people, and generally it is a common interest, a common topic, a common organisation that brings these people together. If it's a corporate business event, usually it's the company that's paying for it. If it's an association, those attending are paying a registration fee to attend. All of it requires a convention centre, hotels, all of the things that I just talked about, and obviously they have to somehow get there as well.
Fantastic. And tell our viewers why it is that these business events are so important to New Zealand.
So they're worth about $5 billion in spent in New Zealand every year.
That's a big pop right there.
It's a lot of money. Plus we have 3 amazing convention centres being built at the moment that will be online very, very soon, and we've got to fill them. So it's a really important sector that helps not only in direct spend, but also there's around about $3 billion in indirect spend that goes out to right across the region. Business events attendees typically are a high value attendee as well. They'll come for a couple of days, they'll spend well, and then hopefully they'll stay on, and typically they'll stay for a couple of weeks in the country, or they'll bring their family back with them for a second visit. Oh,
so that's incredibly invaluable for us, isn't it? Now, I've heard the term Convention Bureau. Can you tell us what the Convention Bureau is, or what they are, and what type of work they do for their local regions?
So they're really important in the local region, and they're a huge partner of ours, as well as with Tourism New Zealand's Business Events Division. So the Convention Bureau are there to promote their region, to attract and entice the business event sector to their part of the world. They do a really important job.
Oh, great. I love hearing about that. And in terms of the global factors, can you give us an example of how New Zealand bureaus, how might they bid for those global events, and what are our unique selling points?
So it's really a team effort. It's a little bit of them, it's a little bit of Tourism New Zealand, it's a little bit of us, all coming together and working together to promote New Zealand first as the destination.
Great.
Then zeroing in onto the region, and then obviously selling in the attributes of that region to that organisation.
Great.
So that's how we typically will work.
Can you give us examples of events where we've won, where we've just done it so well that we've won that bid?
We are really well placed to win a lot of medical type of conferences. There's general medicine conferences, cardiology, you know, it's a broad spectrum of these medical events. It's disappointing. We would have loved APEC to have been here.
Of course, it
APEC
was on
is
the cards.
huge. It's the biggest business event you can handle. But I think what it does show is it shows that we, as a small country, can absolutely play a role on that global stage with these really large events.
Yeah, for sure. And I can see how, you know, while we're disappointed right now, we're looking to the future to ensure that that comes back into play.
Yep.
Last week we talked about sustainability, that sustainability in tourism specifically, and how this is growing in the minds of tourists. They know that that's so important. So how does this impact attracting global business events here to New Zealand?
So New Zealand is a premium destination for business events, and it's acknowledged as such. For many years now, business events have always been looking at some sort of CSR element to their event anyway. So they've been doing this for a long time. But now it's starting to really hone in to recognise the values of our country and the things that are important to us. So companies will go out and they will look for ways to be more sustainable, to really reduce that carbon footprint. It's a long way to come for us, so we need to try and make sure we've got that balance when we're doing business events.
Yeah, and I again believe that you'll draw into all the different industries to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
Absolutely, whether it's recycling, whether it's just the use of the room, or whether it's some sort of way of giving back to the environment, those are all really important elements.
What are your expectations, your hopes for the future for business events here in New Zealand?
Oh, look, I'm nothing but optimistic.
Good.
We are an amazing country for business events. Everyone wants to come here. We've got this fantastic infrastructure. We are already a very significant global player, but with all the things that are going on in the country, we will be an even bigger global player. Okay, 2020 hasn't been a great year for anybody, least of all the business events industry, but we have long lead times. That means that when we're going to be back, our convention centres will be there. We'll be unstoppable.
Oh, I love that. Unstoppable, optimistic, absolutely. And speaking of which, tell us, how does one find work in business events? So do they need to have previously been in events? Right. Do they need a tourism background? Because we want to get people there.
So here's the good news.
Give it to me.
Business events need all sorts of different people. We need really good logistical experts, but we also need really good data analysts. We need good technicians. We need people who are really smart when it comes to using a laptop or an iPad. You know, it's got a real broad approach to it. That's the beauty of the industry. It really does. It encourages people with a creative spin, a technical mind, to come and be a part of it. So, you know, we welcome it with open arms.
Good. And for those of us out there, you've heard it first from our wonderful Lisa, a wealth of experience. It's so great to get a better understanding of these business events. Thank you so much for all that you and your team do. And thank you for joining us here on The Itinerary. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Next on the panel, we have Lee Picken, who will talk to us about that great, unique event, Field Days. But first, let's hear from Jason Biggs as he tells us why it's so important to celebrate progress in the workplace.
The relationship between a manager and the employee helps a business grow. Your job is only as good as your boss, and there is a direct link between happy workers and happy customers. To support a good relationship, there are 5 key coaching conversations that we need to have at work. The 5th conversation is to check in on and celebrate progress. We simply do not celebrate enough. 61% of workers say they have not received any recognition for their work in the last year. The thing is, it is not about the size of the celebration, it is about the psyche of celebration. The best reviews are ones which are fair and accurate, achievement-oriented, and developmental. There are 3 areas that are the biggest predictor of job success. Firstly, individual achievement. These are the responsibilities you need to achieve independently. Secondly, team collaboration, how you partner with other team members to achieve success. Thirdly, customer value, the impact your work has on a customer. And customers can be either internal or external. So, what does this conversation look like? Good questions to ask based on each of these areas is, what success are you most proud of? What made the success the one you are most proud of? What was different about this success that you did it so well? Finally, what do you need to get more of this kind of performance in the future?
So we are back online now to connect across to the mighty Waikato, home to the largest agriculture event in the Southern Hemisphere, Field Days. And with me to talk about this fantastic, hugely popular event is the event manager, Lee Picken. Lee, kia ora, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Kia ora, Megan. It's great to be here and really excited to be able to talk about Field Days and to the audience that's there. So, yeah, really excited to be here.
Oh, neatly. Some people may be wondering, why is it that we have an agricultural event person on this tourism show? But the thing is, events and tourism go hand in hand no matter what that event is. So now, could you tell us about the audience Field Days attracts and the impact the event has on our Waikato region?
Sure. I think you're right that events and tourism definitely go hand in hand. As it sits today, Field Days has run for 52 years, so has a very steep history. A lot of people think that Field Days is a Waikato event, but Field Days is strongly an international event which attracts annually around 130,000 local, national and international visitors across the 4 days. We have around 1,066 companies that exhibit on just over 1,500 sites. The event attracts a national and international media group, and the event also serves as a really good platform for our government agencies to connect with the primary industry, our national and international exhibitors that are here promoting their goods and services on a global scale. The event has a total annual economic impact for the Waikato alone of 138 million. And right across New Zealand, the impact is, again, annually, 549 million. So it really does bring a very big impact right across New Zealand.
Hugely so.
I think you can see why I'm saying it isn't just a Waikato event, it's very much our national event. When it comes to the audience, a clear trend that we see is regardless of which demographic box that a person may sit in, attending Field Days is almost always generational. So they've usually attended with their parents or their grandparents, and they're now attending in their own right with their own, family of their own. And it becomes a tradition. It's almost, for those who live outside the Waikato, it's almost a pilgrimage.
Oh, I like it. It becomes a tradition, great. But of course, we want new attendees to come too. So do you actually have to promote? And do your team promote the event internationally? And if you do, how is that done?
So yes, we do. The event is really well promoted by us, but also our exhibitors, the government agencies and our international partners. Each year we run brand campaigns across New Zealand and internationally, but that is also supplemented by our exhibitors promoting their brand and the event within their own promotional activity, and that really increases our reach significantly. And the event has the benefit of its own history. But we still find that domestically there are people who have never attended or even heard of the event. Not that I like to say that. So it's really important that we continue to promote the event each year. And really, we want everyone in New Zealand to know about and to attend our field days.
For sure. Can you tell us about the relationship your team has with local regional tourism or Tourism New Zealand? I imagine that they must have an invested interest in the Field Days event, surely.
Yeah, well, look, we're lucky enough. Our CEO sits on the Waikato Tourism Advisory Group along with many other operators. We work closely with Tourism Waikato across the year on all of our events, not only field days, but I think it's probably really important to note that when we talk field days, we work at more of a national level with most of the agencies, and I think you'll sort of understand that because it's not necessarily just a local event. We need to work at that national level with these agencies.
Yeah, great. So as well as working nationally, internationally, there's a close bond there with your local community for field days. I can hear that coming through nicely.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a very valued stakeholder ecosystem, again, nationally and internationally, that we work with to ensure that we get the support, but also to ensure that we're really able to tell that New Zealand agri story. That's really important to us. But we also have very strong relationships with our local community, because we have to. When we have something, 130,000 people coming to the Waikato, to the event, it's really important that we have those close relationships. We employ contract staff. We bring in a large number of volunteers, and most of these come from that Waikato community, although I must say that our volunteers come from right across New Zealand, and we actually have one person who has come for many years and he lives in Queenstown. So it shows that national sort of relationship with field days that many people have.
Oh, for sure. Now, because of COVID-19, you had to put the event online this year. I imagine that would have had significant reaction from the community and just in general.
Yes, it absolutely did. It hit the event industry badly, of course. And, we worked out really quickly that the economic side of the event would not be able to be realised in 2020. So we quickly looked at our options and decided to take the event online. I think for us, being online enabled us to maintain our brand equity, which again, as I keep saying, is really important, but also to support our exhibitor group and create that connection with our loyal agri community. And I must say, we did all of this in 108 days. It's really important that we acknowledge the large support we got from our partners, our exhibitors, government agencies, and our ecosystem. They all jumped on board very quickly to help make the event the success it was.
Oh, wonderful. I can hear that it was successful, and congratulations on doing that so quickly, such a good, quick turnaround. Is it something that you would consider for the future, or is it the fact that Field Days simply is an amazing event that must remain physical? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, it was really hard to put specific measures of success around the event as it was the inaugural event. For us, it was more an intangible benefit with such a strong history and brand that we have. We felt it was really important to live those values of the brand by being innovative, providing that platform to educate and reach a global audience. So we felt it was important to invest in our brand, the New Zealand story, and protect it for the future, because that is very important. So from these perspectives, we felt it was really successful. In terms of tangible goals, we reached a wide audience with visitation from over 75 plus countries. And around 40% of our visitors to the site were new to us. So we kind of think even under adversity, we were able to create that engaged connection with an audience. So whilst the physical event is really important for people to come together, and we believe that's really important, there is definitely an opportunity to bring the online and the offline experiences together, so visitors can experience one or both. And it enables us to deliver a wider audience, which in turn kind of provides that value to our stakeholders. So,
innovation
absolutely.
right there, hey?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Tell me, what is your opinion on the future of events? Is this a sector that will forever be in demand, do you think?
I absolutely do. I think humans are tactile and we all want human contact. I think during COVID, we just, everyone wanted to get out. I think everyone wants to go to an event. They can't wait. And I think events in New Zealand are a large part of our DNA. I think most people, they want to attend events, they want to learn, and they want to go to either buy or sell, or they just want to connect. We see that's a really strong part of Field Days, is that people just want to go and meet their friends. They want to, business people want to talk to other business people. They want to talk to their customers. So I think there's absolutely a future with physical events, but I think it's whilst the physical event is still really, really important. And I'm going to speak to Field Days now. I think we now have this opportunity to strengthen our physical event with the digital offering for the future of events. And I really believe that will benefit our audience nationally and internationally. So whilst I really believe that there is a future for events, and that whole physical and digital can work.
Oh, I love to hear that. Such great collaboration between the two aspects. Thank you so much, Lee. Such a pleasure to have you with us. Let's now hear from Kate Godfrey of Madision Recruitment to give her advice on who to use as your referees when securing a new job role. And following Kate is a success story from Auckland Tourism, Events and Economic Development on how they created a winter event to generate tourism for their off-peak season.
So when you're entering the workforce or you're re-entering the workforce after a long break, it can be tough to find people who you can nominate as professional references. References are an important part of the recruitment process. They're not just about how you perform in a job, but they also provide information on what kind of team culture and management style will help you achieve the best results. Referees should, ideally, be your 3 most recent direct managers. However, if that's not possible, there are alternatives. If you're involved in church groups, community groups, or sports clubs, there may be a person of high standing who may be able to provide a reference for you. This shouldn't just be someone who is a personal friend, but someone in a position of some authority, such as a coach or a church elder. If you do volunteer work, you probably work with someone in a supervisory or a leadership role, such as a team leader or coordinator. This person will be able to attest to your reliability, whether you're punctual and well presented, and they can also comment on your teamwork, your interpersonal skills, and your communication. If you've been self-employed for a while, we know that you probably won't have a direct manager that can provide you with a reference. In this case, you could utilise a long-standing client, a supplier, a mentor, or even a 2IC in some instances. Where it's appropriate, add written recommendations to your LinkedIn profile as well. If you're applying for multiple roles, you could get a previous manager to provide you with a reference on LinkedIn, and then all your potential employers will be able to see this. If you've done a great job for someone in the past, Let them be an advocate for you.
Hi, I'm Steve Armitage. I'm the General Manager of Destination at Auckland Tourism Events and Economic Development, and I have the privilege of leading a team who look after major events, our business events through our Convention Bureau, our tourism, marketing and promotional activity, and our Study Auckland team. The Destination AKL 2025 strategy set a new path for where we wanted to take Auckland as a destination. We'd seen really good growth from Auckland becoming a globally recognised destination over the previous 10 years through the Auckland Visitor Plan. But we were starting to see that some of that growth was starting to impact on our local communities, and we really wanted to shift more towards a focus on destination management. One of the issues that we had when we were developing the Destination AKL 2025 strategy was that we had really strong visitation over the summer period and into the shoulder periods. But the winter season was really quite a struggle for us. Auckland didn't have a great standing and wasn't particularly well known as a winter destination. So one of the ways we decided we could front into that was to look to create more opportunities and more incentives for people to come in over the winter months. And hence Elemental AKL was born. We wanted to develop something new and something that was authentic to Auckland. We didn't just want to buy in more content. It had to be something that we could grow from the ground up, and ultimately could become something that local people really fell in love with, but that would prove to be an attractive for domestic and in the long-term international visitors too. So we undertook some market research to see where we felt there was a sweet spot, and perhaps unsurprisingly, when you think about Auckland being a home to many volcanoes and situated around 3 harbours, the elements came through really strongly as a core focus for us. So in year one, we stood up Elemental AKL and have now started to see that become a pretty prominent brand across our event activity. Given the focus on winter, Elemental 2019 was a huge success. We ran through the calendar month of July. A slightly different model where we weren't just aggregating people into one space, it was a dispersed event, because we really wanted to make sure that we were providing benefits back to the wider region. So around 50 events delivered in 2019, food, culture and arts being most prominent of them, and had huge feedback, really strong buy-in from Auckland communities. Elemental will be a little bit different in 2020. For a start, it's in October rather than July because of the COVID impacts. All of the events within Elemental AKL I think have got huge appeal. There's a lot for family as well as for people who are looking for a great food experience, and that's probably the area that I'm most excited about. I think the food offering this year is really exciting. So there's Auckland Food Story with Ben Bailey, which having had the privilege of going to Ahi for a meal, but to see Ben talk about the story behind the food, it's quite a unique experience and really enriches the quality of what you're actually enjoying on the plate. And I also think, we've got one of Auckland's best storytellers, Rewi Spraggan, who's got an experience at Otara Market, which I think will just be fantastic too. So I'm looking forward to both of those in particular. The ultimate aim is to ensure that it becomes an attractor for people from outside Auckland. So domestically, within the next 5 years, we'd want to see good numbers of New Zealanders coming from outside of Auckland. And in the long term, we'd love to see Australians popping over to support Elemental in the way that Vivid has become a key attractor for them.
Now don't forget to join us next week when we will be discussing tourism skills. I look forward to chatting with you all again, same time, same place. Haere rā.